Hello and welcome as the iGPFUN F3 League returns here on Total Sim Sport. And today we take on the epic Oulton Park International Circuit. We'll be running it without the Britain's chicane, so expect lots of high-speed drag fest action all the way down the back straight to Hislops, where we'll see plenty of overtaking and excitement. I'm Tim Cox, sitting in for Austin Knight. We've got Sean Cranleigh-Swash in the production, be making all the magic happen in the background, but wait, no. I'm joined by Seb Bosher-Williams. We're qualifying literally just coming into an end. And we were just saying, weren't we, Seb? Cranleigh looks in an absolute league of his own. 3 tenths clear of the field in qualifying.
He certainly is in a league of his own. Good evening, Tim. Good evening to everybody at home watching this race. And what a race we are in for. You're right, Cranleigh almost 3 tenths clear of second place man Michael Coffrey, who is very, very close to his brother Juan Coffrey, just behind him. But yes, it's unusual in F3 to see a gap as big as 3 tenths. So yeah, really watch out for Cranleigh in the race. Of course, the start is where all the peril is. And, certainly have seen many issues at the start here at Oulton Park over the week, so really watch out for that as well, as drivers finding the limits of the car and certainly finding how to go over the limit of this car. 2 drivers off the track in the space of a few seconds. I think that is it. Well, Aaron Smith is on quite a fast lap, so let's see what he can do as he comes across the line, Tim.
It's going to be interesting. Smith improved, currently in 4th place, 2nd row of the grid. He heads through the timing beam. Wow,
He matches this
no
time.
improvement. Actually goes slower there, Seb, doesn't he? Only by slim margin, 0.06 of a second slower. No improvement for him. And just having a little look at it, Seb, no one else out on track, so they're going to remain as they are. The Smith is definitely going to start from the 2nd row of the grid. But I mean, you say about Michael and Juan Coffrey, electric qualifying from the pair of those, the 2 South American drivers. I mean, I've covered this series a fair few times, and that's by far the highest I've ever seen the Coffreys up in the timing sheets. I mean, don't discredit, we've got some really fast names behind them, likes of Leonard Cherry. He's starting down in 7th place. Evan May, the Brit, he's in, sorry, the Canadian, he's in 11th. Series organizer Luca Ferrari, he's in 12th, starting on the 6th row of the grid. So it's going to be interesting, you know, these opening laps are going to be so crucial. Let's run through the grid quickly. Lamy on pole with Coffrey joining him on the front row. Juan Coffrey on the 2nd row with Smith. Then it's Tellez and McIntyre with Leonard Cherry and Flint on the 4th row of the grid. Marek and Pausland start on the 5th row of the grid, with Way starting directly behind his fellow countryman Marek in 11th place, with Varani on the 6th row of the grid. And then we've got Duran and Braun on the 7th row with Perez and Vestman. Van Veen, he's got Veldman for company with Simon Vessi. Bit of a poor qualifying show from the Frenchman in 19th. He's got Brachetti on the 10th row of the grid alongside Roseland and Morone, Gribri and Atoa in 23rd and 24th. Talsma and Kona, Ridgway, Munez, Reeve, Milne taking up to 30th with Mulfatova, Laurentins, Berry, Dennis, Zamota, Roland up to 36th, and then rounding out this big grid, 40-car grid here. Richie Robinson's sharing a row there, both the South Africans, 37th, 38th, with Gracie and Hap rounding out the field. The 2 Americans sharing the last row of the grid here at Little Pudworth, Cheshire in the UK, the northern part of the country. Can any of the drivers elevate their positions northwards? Fish higher than where they started. It's a tight technical track, this, Seb, isn't it? You know, we're just waiting for the last few drivers to take to the grid. One incident early on is going to cost you so dearly.
It really, really does. It's so difficult to overtake here. We were talking yesterday to some of the drivers in the race, and they were talking about how easy it is to follow cars, but how difficult it is to overtake. I think the race is just about to get underway.
Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing. Oulton Park in the iGPFUN F3 League and Laney. making a good start, but Michael Coffey just going to tuck him behind him, or is he? Lamey swoops down to keep hold of that first place. For now, Old Cherry caught up in the background. There's a big incident there. I think 6 cars caught up in that first corner. Carnage there. And then, wow, that's going to really shake things up. You can see there's a massive gap here between the 8th place, isn't it? As we just see on the attack. Smith make up places in that 42. White Coffrey just in front of him. Our top 4 incredibly close. Wow, Seb, it's going to be interesting just to see what 1, 2, 4, 6 cars in the pits. Guevara, Flynn, Ridgway, Reed, Durant and De Laurentiis all caught up and coming up on the worst side of that action. And you just see in the background some people actually still heading through Shallow's corner as our leaders stream through Nickerbrook here for the first time. Wow, there you go, there's a queue of cars all looming there in the pit lane. There's an overtake happening here. There's the motor heading through past Berry. Here's Berry the Brit. Wow, I mean, it's a big gain as Coda. He's already up 11 places. Likewise, Muniz, he's up 11 as well. So Stuart Mill, Reed Dennis, the American, he's up 12 places. Also up 11. It seems to be 11 is the magic number here. Zamota, both the Richie Robinsons, so the last but 1 row. They've been left to 26 and 27 respectively. And also up 11 places. I think Riley, something's happened to him and Richard Van Veen. They seem to be falling through the order. Well, I mean, we said 1 incident near the front could cause complete and utter carnage. And it's delivered, Seb. It's delivered.
It certainly has. Huge into turn 1. Leonard O'Terry also caught up in that is back into the pits. He had a great first race, and that's really not what he would have wanted as he came to Oulton Park. But as we look to the front of the field, Jerome Lamey surprisingly coming under pressure from Michael Coffrey behind. Not to say that Michael Coffrey is slow at all, but Coffrey didn't really have the pace in qualifying, but he's got Jerome Lamey's pace. So Lamey really struggling to pull away, catches a little bit of grass into Druid's corner. And this is a replay. And I'm going to hand this one over to you, Tim.
Yeah, there's Perez in the midfield. Oh, he arrives at the scene of the accident. He went actually underneath one car that went flying up into the air. And Christian Perez, the Iberian, wow, gets all of his luck in one big dose there. He slid literally underneath a car, but you see the top 3, they are battling away. 2 Brits, 2 Chileans. Locked in a fight and a big game between them. Our top 4 and the following pack. So 3 seconds. We're right on board with Aaron Smith right now, right onto the back end of Juan Coffrey, who has got the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:23 dead. However, what's at 900ths of a second difference in lap times between our top 4 right now. But this is where not having British chicane comes into its own, doesn't it, Seb? Because you keep on the power and you can make a bit of a lunch as Smith just has a little bit of look up to the inside into his, thinks twice about it, just backs out a little bit, and these two need to be careful because if they start battling hard, Smith and Juan Coffrey, they are going to lose Lamey and Coffrey.
They are indeed. They really need to play it smart, and you have to say that Juan Coffrey and Aaron Smith have started to fight just that little bit, and you can see the gap that Juan now has to his brother Michael up ahead, and that just goes to show how strategic you really need to be in these Formula 3 races. Jerome Lamey finally finding a little bit of pace on this lap, setting the timing tower alight with 2 purple sectors, a 1 minute 22.59 to set the new fastest lap of the race. But Aaron Smith, you can never count him out. He had a great recovery drive in Bathurst. He is super quick. He knows how to really push these Formula 3 cars around the track, and you certainly can't count him out. Always Tellez goes incredibly wide on the exit of turn 3. Cascades there, just proving how difficult these cars are to drive as well. Surprising the gap that we have, as you were mentioning, Tim, between 4th and 5th place, around 3 seconds. Huge gap, but I think Sarah Milosova has just crashed, so actually not having the race. Of course, really struggled at Monza, had that earlier crash as well, and we're going to have a look at a replay of it right now. And just coming down, I think this is coming down into Island Bend, or is this, where is this on track? So this is
Hislops.
Oh.
Nice into Hislops, locks up and just about manages to miss the rock solid iRacing tyre water barrier there, and keeps hold of it, but that's not exactly helping her out whatsoever. I mean, for me, this is a really intriguing battle. You know, the peloton, the chasing pack, the battle that's looming between them. Tellez, McIntyre, Marek, Way, Perez, all involved in this one right now. Some big names in this fight, and what they really need to do is, we've lost Juan Coffrey. Something's happened to him, Seb. He's come off track and
jumped to the pits.
What was the four-way battle for the lead? So here he is. Let's see what has happened. Let's take a look. Oh, caught the grass.
Entry to Knickerbrook, very, very easy to do. And I think he's really upset with himself, because I don't think he's tried to make any attempt to come back on track. No, he hasn't. So he's jumped to the pits. Will take that penalty of the towing time. Oh, Juan, you were so quick, and it's so easy to do, isn't there, Tim? I mean, it's something that we've all done here whenever we've driven at Oulton Park.
It is so easy to do. And Juan Coffrey falling foul of that, which now makes that four-way battle to lead into a three-way battle between Laney, Michael Coffrey and Aaron Smith, and they've got a big gap, as we mentioned, now nearly 3.5 seconds over this chasing pack, who are, well, they're squabbling. There's plenty of infighting going on. They've just, it looks like they've dropped Perez a little bit. Now made up of Tellez, McIntyre, Marek and Way. And we head out onto lap 6 now of 34 from Oulton Park. Running you through the order. Oh, Smith's just made his way past Coffrey off camera. The big lockup, a big cloud of smoke there.
Coffrey's off. Coffrey's in the pits. He's had an incident as well. So both Coffrey brothers having incidents. Wow, what a story. So this battle, now that we're watching on our screens, is for 3rd place overall. So all of a sudden, Tellez has been rocketed up to the podium places, but disaster for the Coffreys.
Wow, this battle is all the more interesting right now. So this is Christian Perez. Let's take a look. So this is what happened to Michael Coffrey. So he got some clear air over himself and Aaron Smith behind. Oh, and he's caught the grass on the entrance into Cascades. That car is a write-off.
It certainly is. Went wide for good measure at turn 1, just going to show how much he was pushing to sort of keep with Jerome Lamy, and fell foul of the entrance to Cascades. Again, the grass is so close to the track around here, and it is very, very incredibly slippy. Something has also happened to Perez. He is no longer on my timing stand, so he was in P8 or 9, and all of a sudden, again, drivers dropping like flies at the moment. Really, I think it's a really, really tough track, and these drivers certainly struggling to find their rhythm at the moment. We've still got about 26 laps to go in this race.
Already we've lost so many drivers are no longer on the lead lap. 29th all the way down to 40th, so 11 drivers, even as Matthew Gracie here on the attack, trying to find his way past Richard Van Veen. Head through turn 1, Old Hall, down the avenue, through Denton, so it's like Kinkenham Corner as we descend through Cascades and head out along Lakeside. Yeah, straight, because of course it heads parallel to a lake here and through Island Bend. But Muniz onto the brakes, down into Hislops, trying to mount an attack on Braun. I mean, Moon's apologies as this goes, up an incredible 14 places. I tell you what, Seb, you've either gained a lot of places or you've lost a lot of them, and there is pretty much zero. But I say that this driver here, James Powsland, is the only driver who was either made places or lost places, although that could be undone here. He's head straight into the pits. He looks like he's got a bit of damage there, Seb. So many drivers being caught out due to the, you know, the beast that is Oulton Park.
Certainly loads of drivers falling foul of Oulton Park. These cars are certainly some of the quickest cars you would really want to drive around this track. It is so tight and twisty, and I think these drivers are just finding out why it is so loved among drivers as we head. So this is Tellez in third place, under pressure from Marek behind him. Marek, the winner at Bathurst, catching a little bit of grass on the braking zone to the Hillslop chicane through Knickerbrook, where we've seen drivers make a few mistakes so far. This all looks tidy, but Marek not had the pace that he had at Bathurst. It's of course a very, very different track to the track we were at just 1 week ago, but Marek looking a little bit better than Tellez. Tellez has had he's been really struggling so far, and Evan Way, talking of Bathurst, this is your P2 man from the last race, trying to catch up to Will McIntyre. But I think we're going to start to see, Tim, drivers struggling to overtake now. We're getting into sort of the depths of the race, lap 9 of 34. I think drivers are going to start to sort of be in those slipstream trains and unable to really make the move. So it's almost going to be who can sort of keep it out of the barriers, I reckon.
Just we're on lap 9. Let's just run you quickly through your top 10. Lamey leads from Smith in second. Tellez still holding on to the last podium position. However, he's been chased down hard by Marek McIntyre and Way, which takes you up to 6th place. Niklas Westman, a Finnish driver, he's up 9 places into 7th. However, Simon Fessy said he had a poor qualifying. He's made 11 places so far into 8th, with Rolison in 9th. Top 10 being rounded out by Timo Bourne. You see our leader, and well, extending that gap over Smith, the gap out to nearly 3 seconds. But I tell you what, this battle behind them, Seb, I mean, Tellez and Marek have started to pull away from Way and McIntyre. Way's just actually, Way's just made it, wow, his way past McIntyre. And these two really need to be working together more so, because, I mean, they were locked in a 4-way battle with Tellez and Marek ahead of them, as it looks like they're having a bit of a scrap as well. Down into turn 1, they come into Old Hall. And Marek is up in position, up into those podium positions, but Tellez fights back. Marek just out onto the grass. He is going to have the inside line though, into Cascades. But Tellez says, hold my beer, watch this, round the outside in spectacular fashion as they head down Lakeside. And he has reclaimed that podium position for now from the Canadian.
Great defence from Tellez there, and just as we were saying, Way and McIntyre sort of needed to sort of work together to catch up to Tellez and Marek. Well, Tellez and Marek not really working together to stay ahead of Way and McIntyre. So I think this battle should start to sort of concertina up together into the braking zone of Hillslop once again. Marek there really trying to get past Tellez, but Tellez just had this extraordinary ability just to be on the brakes just a little bit later, carry a little bit more speed through Cascades around the outside, and he just took that position right back. But Marek is very, very quick. As I think, just an update, Leonard O'Cherry has had some form of incident on track, so really a race to forget for Leonard O'Cherry. He is down some 24 positions, and we can have a look and see what happened to the number 55 car now. This is turn 1. He's hit the inside curb, and around she goes. And it's just not a start to a race, start to the race that Leonard would have wanted. Tellez managed to hold the position into turn 1. Has Marek used up a little bit of tyre to try and catch up to Tellez and make that move? Is he going to have to sit behind the third place man and sort of regroup, cool the tyres again, and work out where to overtake for that podium position?
There's someone off on the inside there of Island Bend. I didn't quite catch who that was. That may well have been Mulfitova, potentially. That looks like that she's come off track as you see this battle. Last place on the podium, still resuming.
Paul Happ also has jumped back to the pits, so he's Also
I
been
could
involved
well
in
have been
some,
Hap potentially. Yeah,
some
it's,
form.
it's crazy out there right now, Seb, isn't it? I mean, we've got 3 drivers up 18 places. Zamota in 17th, Richie Robinson in 19th, and Gracie in 21st, all up 18 places. I mean, that first lap really shook things up. That big incident at turn 1, as we see Milne onto the back of Telsma. These two both up just a meager 12 and 16 places respectively. Possibly rookie numbers to some of the big gains that we've seen here, but I mean that opening lap at first corner incident really shook things up and has sculptured the story of the race so far, where we've seen big gains, big losses, and some big gaps already, as we're pretty much at just over 1/3 race distance.
Yeah, I think yeah, certainly the first lap crash really mixed up the places, and it just goes to show the drivers that were, I mean, either lucky enough to not be involved, or the ones that were cautious into turn 1 have really reaped the benefits from that. And it's always a valid strategy in these F3 races, especially with a grid as big as this. I mean, we've got 40 cars on the track at once, or at least we did at the start of the race, and just playing it a little bit cautiously for the first lap can really pay dividends, especially with such a long race we have here. 34 laps, where, as you said, just over 1/3 distance through. So yeah, definitely different strategies do work at the start, and it certainly worked just to sort of play it a little bit safe, not push the limits of the braking zone too much. And I mean, that's why iGPFUN have the rules about not really overtaking into turn 1. And actually for this race, you weren't really supposed to overtake anybody until the exit of turn 5, and we normally don't see too many huge accidents into turn 1 in this league. But I think today, I think the track is just so tight and the drivers are so eager to get off the line that you're inevitably going to see some form of incident.
I think so, Seb. All it takes is one minor mistake, doesn't it? When you've got such a large grid for you, 40 cars here today at Oulton Park, and a narrow track as well. You know, this national circuit is, you know, national circuits always tend to be that bit narrow compared to the, you know, the big international Grand Prix circuits, which are nice and wide, plenty of room, plenty of runoff areas as well. All it takes is one incident near the front, and then you get this massive concertina effect, like a big pile-up on the motorway, with cars involved left, right, and centre. You know, we saw someone, you know, actually flipping up in the air, another car going underneath them with incredible luck, and definitely at the right place at the right time. And that's how it's we've come to be where we are right now. But I'll tell you what, Tellez and Merrick are definitely dropping Way and McIntyre behind. To be fair, even Way starting to extend a little bit of gap over Way, over McIntyre right now. You can just see him back of your screen quickly there. And I think realistically, one of the most interesting battles that's going to come out of this is who can get on the podium. Will it be Tellez? Will it be Marek? Or, I mean, surely for these two, it's just about pulling away, working together, just being conservative. Of course, with the new tyre model for the Formula 3 car, do you experience more higher tyre degradation as the race goes on? So surely, Seb, it's more about just conserving those tyres so that you've got the biggest amount of grip available to you when it comes to scrapping on the last few laps.
Certainly, it's so strategic, the F3 cars now. I mean, you have to think about slipstream, you're right, tyre deg, and even before, you know, you've got to think about all of your setup and you know, are you going to run high or low downforce? The new update has really spiced up Formula 3 racing up and down the grid. I think Marek was a little bit surprised by how staunchly Tellez defended into Cascades, and I kind of get the feeling that Marek is just happy to sit behind Tellez for now, allow Tellez to push that little bit more, feel the pressure from Marek, and then Marek is either going to sort of sweep up the pieces if Tellez makes a little bit of a mistake, dips a wheel onto the grass, a lock-up, something of that nature, or Marek will, just as the race sort of comes to an end, use a little bit of tyre that he's managed to save behind Tellez and go for an overtake, and hopefully for him keep that position. Luca Varani there falling foul of the track limits on the exit of Druid's corner, showing that he doesn't really feel the need to tyre save at the moment. He is trying to get past Nico Veldman up ahead of him, and right just ahead of them, that's Stuart Milne. So they are involved in a three-way battle for 14th place overall. And yeah, I think Marek and Tellez are just sort of gapping away from Way and McIntyre. It doesn't seem like those two really have the pace. Interestingly, I picked this up on lap 13, both Tellez and Smith did the exact same lap time, down to 100th of a second. So Tellez and Smith definitely lapping at the same pace, but Tellez, I mean, he's 5 seconds off from second place. So unless Tellez can find some form of pace or Smith slows down, it's certainly looking like this Marek-Tellez battle is going to be for third place. And if you're Lamy or Smith, as there is a move down the inside from Varani into Hillslop chicane, and I do believe that car he was racing, Veldman, has gone off the track and taken to the escape route.
Yeah, Veldman backing out of it there and just taking to the, effectively the straight if you don't have Hillslops, and it's backing out of it there. I mean, Varani had been all over the back of Veldman previously. It's a bit further up the field here. Vestman being chased down by Simon Fessy right now. Frenchman trying to get himself up into 7th place. We come out through Cascades. I mean, at this point in the race, Seb, surely it's about neutralising, not far off half race distance now. That'll be what on the next lap, won't it? It will be on next couple of laps definitely. Yeah, this is now surely all about just getting into your groove, pulling forward. I mean, I say that Lamy on the last lap setting the new fastest lap of the race of 1:22.36. I mean, that is some 3 tenths quicker than the next fastest lap, which also came out on the same lap, which went to Tellez. I mean, well, I say this about conserving and just getting into groove and conserving the car for later on. I mean, we've seen Varani really on the attack. Now we're seeing Fessy really on the attack. Puff of dust as they ran wide there out of Druids. And Fessy is really starting to turn up the screw, turn up the pressure on Vestman as he's been trying to find the limit of the width of the track there, just kicking up a little bit of dust. I mean, if you're Fessy right now, I mean, surely the prime overtaking opportunity has got to be for him down into Hillslops off that, that long drag out of Shallow's corner, thanks to just not having Britons. Although, saying that, forget that, just scrap that, Seb. He does it in Island Bend, and not normally a conventional overtaking opportunity as well.
It certainly isn't there. I think he heard that and was going to prove you wrong, Tim. Varani there, struggling to get past Stuart Milne into Island Bend. Will he have a little bit of a dive into turn 5 Shell Oil's corner? Thinks better of it. I noticed in qualifying, everybody, I think almost it seemed like every car had some form of lockup into Shell Oil's corner, and they have to really dial that out for tyre preservation purposes in the race. Varani pulls to the inside and goes down the inside into Hillslop chicane, gets it all slowed down nicely, and he is the new inhabitant of 14th place in this race. Milne down to 15th. But yes, a great move there by Simon Fessy. You're right, you never see cars go through Island Bend. Certainly don't go through Island Bend and live to tell the tale, but he certainly did. And Westman, I think, caught a little bit off guard. But will we see more drivers tend to do that in the final stages of the race, especially if you're struggling for rear grip, if you've burnt out those rear tyres a little bit too much earlier on in the race, and you have a poor exit from Cascades? Do we think we might see some sort of late lunges into Island Bend? I mean, for the excitement factor, I'd love to see it from the drivers getting through the rest of the race. Maybe not.
Varani now 1.8 seconds behind the Canadian Talsma ahead. Last lap he was going, some 4 tenths quicker, I believe. No, apologies about that. Talsma actually going quicker. Sorry about that. I was misread the timing sheets there, but now Varani in some clean air. So to see him make progress in his attempt to chase down the Canadian. He's trying to, in his own attempts, trying to catch up onto Munzer ahead of her. But despite Fessy getting past Vestman, he hasn't quite been able to drop him. They're on the cusp of slipstream range. The gap 9/10 between the Frenchman and the Finnish driver right now. This is the battle over 7th. It just needs that little bit more, doesn't he, Fessy, just to get Vestman out of draft range. Oh, and that might well be it, as you see Vestman just running a bit wide there, and not quite fully wide, but through Old Hall Corner.
Yeah, it's no, excuse me. The drivers, some of the drivers were actually competing in a race yesterday, which I had the pleasure of commentating on as well. And in the interviews afterwards, the drivers were talking about how easy it was to follow cars and how difficult it was to actually pull away from the cars enough to break that slipstream. But as soon as you sort of got into the slipstream, you always sort of hit this invisible bubble where you felt like you were quicker than the car ahead, but you couldn't get past. And I think that's what we were seeing between Fessy and Westman there. You gain so much time in the slipstream, and there isn't too many high-speed corners around that you really feel the effects of dirty air, and it just lends itself to being able to follow a car really easily, but not being able to pass. So, yeah, this track I think proving really difficult in both like a raceability standpoint and sort of a lap-by-lap standpoint. Lots of drivers making mistakes. Jerome Lamy, though, in a class of his own, another fastest lap, a 1 minute 22.22. Scrap that. Tellez has a 1 minute 22.20. So he has found some speed, and this is Tellez there, just getting past one of the bat markers. Don't quite see who that is, but one of the drivers that has had struggled throughout Barak there, getting past. Actually, I think this lap, the track time might have cooled down just a little bit, because Timo Braun set the fastest lap on the last lap, 1 minute 22.12. I don't think it'll be too long until we're knocking on the door of a 1 minute 21.
I think it's going to be a case of who can get inside it first as the fuel burns off, the car gets lighter, so you're able to accelerate the corners quicker. Well, it'll be Braun. I mean, he's still got, I mean, looking at it as well, Seb, from the fastest laps that are being set right now, these drivers are within slipstream range. And I think the only drivers that are Ferrari on Talsma and Munzer. Well, funnily enough, as magically we cut to it, this little the freeway battle over 12th place. These are the only drivers that are within slipstream range. Actually, no, De La Rosas and Reeve all the way down 25th and 26th, respectively, for those two. They're tucked up within it, but off camera, I think something's happened to Way. He's dropped a few places here, Seb. I saw at point McIntyre got past him. Now he's behind. Wow, he's falling right down through the order. Something has happened to him.
Has he had a little off at Lodge Corner, turn 13? He's still going. Hasn't decided to pull into the pits. We can confirm that by his lap time, which was a 1 minute 37. So he has lost a huge chunk of time outside the top 10 for good measure. Don't quite know what's happened here. As Varani there goes side by side into Cascades with Talsman there, or Talsma even, and Luca Varani gets shown the door on the exit of Cascades as we head towards Island Bend. Does Luca Varani feel like he needs to make a move? He pulls to the outside. Does he go all the way around the outside? Oh no, he's on the grass!
Oh, can he keep it out of the wall? And he's just stopped in inches, maybe even a little bit of contact with the side barrier, but after great progress, Varani falls down through the order and he's lost a whole heap of time, some 14 seconds to Talsma, who was battling with. But this is what happened. Oh, this is his way, so let's find out what happened to him, hopefully. What, you called it, Seb? You called it, he's lost it.
Lucky
through
barrier.
Which corner?
So lucky to not hit the barrier on the exit of turn 13 there. As we head back on board, this is Richie Robinson, the number 7 car, being overtaken by Nicola Kona there, the number 41 car, down the inside of Hills Lop chicane. But yeah, Way was so lucky to not end up in the barrier there. I don't think I've really seen a car make that mistake. Oh, Wesman's off the track!
Oh, he's definitely going to be into the wall there, Seb. He is. Oh, broken suspension, broken rear wing. And that's another retirement. And the cruel mistress that is Oulton Park claims another victim here in the iGPFUN F3 League. Oh, all while this is going on, Lamey, first driver into the 121s in terms of fastest lap time with the 129.91, so far the only driver. And into that time zone, extending the gap over Smith with the gap out to nearly 5.2 seconds nearly, and equally Smith starting to really drop Tellez, who's also getting away from Marek as well. I think something's happened to it somewhere. I think he's dropped a couple of places as well. Drivers starting to struggle for grip out there, Seb, where they've been pushing it so hard.
We did see that at Bathurst, drivers really struggling in the final sort of, you'd say, sort of third of the race, and Oulton Park is pretty tricky on tyres. It's not got too many high speeds, but a lot of medium speed corner with a few slow speed for good measure just thrown in there just to make the driver's life that little bit harder. Yeah, two drivers making mistakes in a very short space of time. One person that hasn't made any mistakes so far this race is the guy on your screen at the moment, Jerome Lamey, giving it a little bit of margin actually through turn 9. Knickerbrook not wanting to sort of chance his luck with that grass, and I think Luca Varani and Stuart Milne have had some form of coming together. Let's just have a replay. So this is Stuart Milne on the exit of turn 1 through turn 2 of Denton's. Oh, it's a cascade, and that's just spun off. So I think these two drivers have had some form of incident separately, and that's not going to help Stuart Milne's aerodynamic at all, or aerodynamic stability at all. And this is what happened to Luca Varani. I do apologise, they weren't anywhere near each other. Too much curb on the entry, and he's just sort of run out wide, picked up an off track, but that inside curb is so slippery into turn 1.
Replay of him and through Knickerbrook, Lisa rear end. Yes, we are. Well, a lovely pirouette there from the Brit, the Shizou T2 driver. Put the car back round in stylish fashion there. Head off back again, but so now under pressure. Rafael Muniza. What can he do to try and get his Stuart Milne? He's into the pit, Seb, so not looking for him. Another, I think, Matty, the black marker of doom out, another driver who's fallen foul here and had to head to the pits. So far, retirements we've had. Not Richie Robinson, we lost him on lap 14. Likewise, Paul Happ on lap 14. Lap 8, we lost Mula Fatova. Michael Coffrey on lap 5. Likewise, Perez is on lap 5 as well. Juan Coffrey on lap 4 retired, and then Pierce Berry on lap 1 with opening lap incidents and retirements first. Kabira, Duran, and Marone as well as Milne. Ooh, that's a nice little move up the inside. Yep, that's his fellow countryman, Hausland. Tell you what, Tellez is. The gap between himself and Marek has really shrunk over the last few laps there. And
yeah, I think this is the case as what I was saying earlier on in the broadcast, that Marek sort of saving up his tyres to launch sort of an all-out assault. Learn where Tellez is a little bit slower. Learn where Marek just feels that little bit quicker. And let's see, down in to the Hillslop chicane. Probably the best overtaking opportunity on the track, would you say, Tim?
Yeah, oh, easily going to get a long run out of Charloyles. Not having Britons in this track format really helping the drivers. There's someone just running a bit wide there.
Number 13.
Yeah, didn't quite catch you. That was initially, but thank you very much. This Flint running a bit deep in there, and but Lamey, I'll tell you what, Seb. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2, purple sector 3. As he heads across across the line, another new fastest lap of the race for Jerome Lamey. The gap between himself and Smith in second place now out to 6.9 seconds. This could be game, set, and match for Lamey potentially. Just needs to hold on.
I'm sort of almost feeling like, sorry to cut in, like Sebastian Vettel flashbacks, you know, when he was in the height of his dominance, and he would just sort of be so quick and he'd get in the rhythm that he'd sort of start doing fastest lap after fastest lap, and just imagine sort of Lamey just needs to back it off a little bit, because what would happen if you just push that little bit too much, hit the grass, and off he goes. I mean, he's certainly got the win so far, 7 seconds to Smith, so I think he needs to play it safe and just sort of coast that car home.
Yeah, 7.1, nearly 7.2 now. He is really a man on the mission right now. Marek, another person making gains, closing up to the back of Tellez as we head into the last third of the race here from Oulton Park. And what has Marek got on his sleeve? Of course, himself and Tellez have already exchanged places earlier on. What was initially the battle for 5th place has now become a battle for the podium after we lost both Michael and Juan Coffrey early on laps 5 and 4 respectively. This battle has become so crucial. Gap currently stands at around about half a second. Who is going to come out on top between the pair of them? Don't forget Sios Fessi as well. He's got Braun for company. That's the battle for 6th place. Another close battle too. They head down through towards Shalloyals. Alright, needs to find that little bit of a cutting edge, or Seb, maybe does he just select to sit behind and just pressurise and bully Tellez into making a mistake?
I think he's got to, really. Tellez has sort of had an answer for anything Marek has thrown at him so far, defending around the outside of turn 3 Cascades earlier on in this race. So yeah, he just needs to sort of sit behind him as we ride on board with Rafael Munzer there. Oh, and that's, who's that? That's Rowland's round. That's Darren Rowlandson, sorry, having a Tokyo drift moment round turn 5. Keeps it all together. But what a save there from Rowlandson.
Well, it looks like he's going to lose, well, not 1 but 2 places. Talsbert has a bit of the action, a piece of the pie, and moves himself up into 11th, and he's right on the back of Munzer. He could even find himself up another place, but this battle for 3rd is starting to halt at Marek. Now within 3/10 of a second to Tellez, the Iberian, the Spanish driver. Currently the last driver on the podium. The DriveX Esports pilot needs to find a way to hold on. He's got 6 laps left to do so here at Oulton Park. I was saying earlier, Seb, I mean, the pressurising, the gap is fluctuating between himself and Sellers. You know, as low as 3/10, as high as around about 6/10. I mean, it's, you know, and anywhere in between. Right, needs to find maybe some different options, and maybe start to move around in the braking zones to distract Tellez. I mean, they are starting to come up on some back markers. That's the Atoa that just, well, who moves very incredibly compliant there, moves out of the way. But I mean, even Marek needs to try something different or get lucky with one of the back markers here.
I certainly think so. I think Marek just struggling a little bit behind to sort of find that opening. You know, we've been saying throughout the race that it is difficult to overtake here, but you have to say that Lucas on the last few laps has had the pace advantage over Tellez in third, and that really starts to sort of degrade your mental state in the car. As the car being caught, you start to get a little bit paranoid at the gap. You start to look just that little bit more. You start to notice the car catching up to you in the braking zone. And if you're not careful, that can sort of catalogue and sort of snowball into the point when you are making more and more mistakes, and that is how easy it is to feel the pressure. Tellez getting a little bit wobbly through turn 5, and I think Marek has just kept his tyres in that little bit better condition, and that will really pay dividends as we have around 5 laps to go in this race. But Tellez just has some incredible drive out of turn 5 and 6 onto the ever crucial back straight, and that is currently keeping him in the podium spots at the moment. So what can Marek do if he wants to take that spot? You'd have to say He's got to start looking at the unconventional places to overtake. You know, your turn 3 at Cascades, Island Bend, and maybe even Druid's Corner.
So what, Lamey, another new fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.6, the only driver inside the 1 minute 21s, and he is now well inside that time zone. And the next closest lap is Tellez, funnily enough, with a 1:22 dead. So Lamey's fastest time, some 4/10 quicker, but Varani, he's on the side. This is with Rowlandson. We saw Rowlandson in the half spin and a bit of a save down at Shell Oils. And Varani looking to inflict more pain on the Brit. Get himself up to 12. I mean, Varani himself been caught up in his own fair share of action here from Oulton Park.
He has. I mean, he was ever so lucky to not end up in
here
the
we
barrier,
go, Seb. This looks like it's going to be the move, and Varani is going to displace Rowlandson, but is he? No. Finds grip around the outside there, and Dan Rowlandson holds on to 12th place by the skin of his teeth. It's surely a bit of a lift there from Varani, but Varani, we know, we've seen him before make moves round Island Bend. I mean, he's going to be a bit too far back for that one, but surely this is all about lining up Rowlandson, who has his own moment through Island Bend there, gets a bit squirrely. This is going to be Varani, surely getting the move done down into Hislops.
It certainly is. Varani got so much more pace over Rowlandson up ahead. Had the ability to make a dive into turn 1 and not really feel the effect of it too much as he pulls to the outside. Is he going to go all the way around the outside into Hillslop? They're side by side, and somehow Rowlandson once again keeps that 12th position. Varani must be getting a little bit upset in the cockpit, but Rowlandson doing exactly what he needs to do, placing the car inch perfectly to make sure that he can position the car in the perfect spot to make sure that Varani cannot get past. So really good defensive masterclass going on your screens at the moment, and Varani, just like Marek, is going to have to start thinking of some unconventional places to get past Rowlandson.
It's only got 3 laps remaining though here in the UK. Has Varani got locked up his sleeve? These two, you feel the feeling it's going to be a real close nip and tuck battle between the pair of them, that they're going to be separated by a mistake from one of them. And it looks like we're in for another fastest lap from Jerome Lamey. Purple sectors, left, right and centre. As he heads across the line, well, there you go. Another attempt quicker, another attempt knocked off the fastest time. But Varani makes contact and he mounts the back of Rowlandson, but he's got away with it somehow. Looks like there's no damage, amazingly. I'm not too sure how they've managed to do that. But as they head across through Hilltop, down onto the brakes into Hislops, Varani all over the box right now as Siri getting a bit excited in the background there with all the excitement going on track here. But Varani is really desperately trying to fight a way past Rowlandson. They almost touch once again as they come through Druids, and Rowlandson lives to fight another day yet again. I mean, he's got a black livery, but surely some black magic being played out by the Brit to keep his car ahead of Varani, who's trying every which way, inside, round the outside, late on the brakes, but he just can't find that edge right now. As we head round onto lap 32, 2 laps remaining here at this round of Varani. Oh, there was never really a gap there. He was poking his nose in where it was going to be incredibly tight, and Rowlandson would have had to have been incredibly compliant. But Varani spins and now is down to 15th. But Lamey, another new fastest lap, going quicker every single lap for, I think, about the, if my maths is correct, so for about the last 4 or 5 laps here, and the gap to Smith is now out to 11.7 seconds. Wow.
Wow, indeed, I think, from Jerome Lamey even. Yeah, he's just in a league of his own. He's really feeling in tune with that car, with the setup on that car, and just able to push the car a little bit more every lap. Of course, the fuel load is burning off, so the car does start the lap lighter than it finished the last lap. So you could really start to feel the car pushes as much as you can. And with the gap as big as 11 seconds, you know, you can see up ahead of Jerome Lamy, he's got 2 back markers fighting away. He really has the option to just sort of back out of that one. Oh, Powsland there getting ever so sideways, just ahead of the race leader. Really feel the need to get out of Jerome Lamy's way into the braking zone of Lodge Corner. No, but yeah, these are, oh, and Powsland once again round, and that's, I think, his 3rd, if not 4th trip to the barriers today. But somehow that car doesn't look too damaged.
Definitely getting away with that one, wasn't he? I mean, let's see McIntyre here. He's got Fessy not far behind him, is he? Fessy's been slowly, bit by bit, chipping away at McIntyre, and after what was a poor showing during qualifying, as the white flag flies here at Oulton Park, what has Fessy got up his sleeve? Because he has got the chance potentially to displace McIntyre 8/10 of a second. It's going to be a tall order here, Seb, but wow, with all the drama that we've seen here today at Oulton Park, I think anything's possible.
Anything is possible. Fessy looking really in command of that car, able to push the limits of the track and really take as much speed as he dares through turn 1 and turn 3 into the braking zone of 5. This is such a crucial corner now because this launches you down the long straight into the Hills Lock chicane, but I think it's just a little bit too far back. And talking to somebody that's too far back, that's Smith on Lamy. What a race Jerome Lamy has had. He's absolutely dominated this one. Perfect start, perfect race, fastest lap, and he's going to come across the line to win.
It has been a flawless display here from Jerome Lamy, who takes the victory and the checkered flag.
Oh.
Wow, another new fastest lap on the final lap at 21:14. An absolute league of his own. Nobody even remotely close to him. Especially closing up to the back end, and McIntyre in this closing stage, he's got it down to half a second, but with McIntyre making out in the final corner, that is done and dusted. Fessy has to settle for 6th place. He's up 13 places. Not as good, though. Let's kill Richie Robinson and Zoltan Zamota, who are both up an incredible 21 places, Seb. 21.
Incredible. I mean, I've commentated on grids that have had less cars than 21 cars on the grid, and they've made up those positions in this 34-lap race. Just really goes to show keeping it out of trouble in the first few laps and just being consistent can give you such an edge. You're talking about somebody that's, we're talking about consistency, a man that hasn't had it today, whether through his own mistakes or just bad luck. Luca Varani comes across the line in 15th place, only down 3 positions. And if you look at the numbers, you wouldn't have thought it's been too bad of a race from Luca Varani, but I mean, he's been in the wall a few times and he's had quite the eventful race, and you'll be hoping that at next race at Imola he can sort of reset and end up with a much better showing.
We'll certainly be definitely hoping for that one. But wow, what an absolute flawless display here at Oulton Park. Taking the victory, his home race, it's Jerome Lamy for Team Year 1. Started on pole, led every lap, had fastest lap, and took the race victory. Smith rounding at 2nd place, his fellow countryman making it 1-2 for the Brits, with Tellez rounding out your podium here at Oulton Park. Murrock in the end only good enough for 4th, with McIntyre 5th. Fessy, as mentioned, up 13 places into 6th, with Braun in 7th, up 7 places. Nice little bit of pattern there emerging. Also, it's car 14, which is divisible by 7. A little bit interesting one there for all you pattern fans. The Canadian in 8th place with Ricchetti. Didn't mention him all race. He had a solid result to come home in 9th of 11 places, but Munza, he was up an incredible 18 places to round out your top 10. Talsma into 11th place with Rollinson. Veldman, Zamota up to incredible 21, as we mentioned. Varani into 15th with Killer Richie Robinson up another driver up 21 places, 16th with Powsland, and Milne taking you up to 18th, and of course only 15 drivers finishing on the lead lap. Van Veen in 19th with Gracie rounding out your top 20. That's the drivers 2 laps down. Ridgeway, Flint, Atoa, De La Rodriguez, Dennis into 25th place with Leno Cherry, then 5 laps down. We're getting into all the retirements now. Real big, some drivers suffering hard here. Roland in 27th with Vestman, Kona, Norwich and Robinson taking up to 30th place, then Hap. Muller-Fatova, Michael Coffrey, Juan Coffrey, Piers Berry up to 35th. And then just moving through the last few drivers, we had, just having a little look now, Sabria, Duran and Marone rounding out your field. But well, Seb, we knew it'd be tight. We knew. This normally happens with IGP. We knew there'd be action and excitement, but wow, I don't think any of us were quite expecting that one. And a completely and utterly flawless display by Jerome Laney. The Brit was just metronomic here.
He was indeed. I mean, that run of just fastest lap every lap, and I think that sort of rhythm was only broken by some backmarkers having a scrap up ahead of him. He was certainly in a league of his own tonight, and it's sort of the pace that we haven't really seen from Jerome Lamy. We know that he's got it in him, but the races haven't really gone his way up until now. But can he sort of switch it around and sort of have a really good second half of the season? He is certainly one to watch.
He has indeed, and well, Jerome Lamy with the Grand Chelem. Obviously, you get that for having pole, fastest lap, a win, and leading every lap of a race. And well, he is definitely been grand for him. But wow, what an absolute barnstormer of a race here from the UK. It's been an absolute stunner. I know Austin will be absolutely gutted that he's missed out on this one. We say congratulations to Jerome Lamy, an absolutely flawless display once again.